Good afternoon, everybody, and a warm welcome to our primary audience, who is the Nigerian Association for the Blind. My name is Aisha, as Johan said, and today Share Screen Africa, along with the Jardin Reading Garden Outdoor Library, welcomes you to our Sound Journey series. So, we first want to give a special thanks to our main facilitator, this phenomenal lady, Miss Janet Faden. Janet is a freelance journalist based in Nigeria. She practiced under the media outfit J. Faden Multimedia, where she produces multimedia content online for media houses and organizations, providing online management consultancy and training workshops on documentary video production. She also runs and manages Plateau News Online, and in addition to this, is the founder of the Jardin Reading Garden and Outdoor Library. Marit, if you don't mind, would you please share the video to the library, or the link to the video to the library? And if you get a chance, please check in there. It is a quite secluded outdoor space, which is located inside the Jos Museum premises in the heart of Jos City in Nigeria. It's ideal for reading, writing, brainstorming, studying alone or in groups. And free access is provided to the use of external ambience like loud music or microphones, as well as discussions, which gets minimized. The garden is there to promote the habit of reading among people from all walks of life. And while enjoying nature, the library is available for book clubs to meet, book launches, as well as poetry, recitations, and rehearsals for free. So we have a very exciting program today. Okay, and it goes in two parts. Today's session, and at 15:15, which is 3:15 South African time, we will be doing a live nature immersion experience with WildEarth. Now, this company is well known for live drives and connecting people with nature. Really looking forward to that. Before we get there, though, let me introduce you to Mr. Dickson Matthew, who is involved in research on avian behavior, movement, and health, as well as the interaction with our ever-changing environment. He also carries out conservation work on the notoriously hunted African bats, straw-colored fruit bats on the Jos Plateau, and all this in the heart of Nigeria. One key subject of his interest is the study of animal sounds as part of a broader field of bioacoustics. And today, I'm so excited to say that he will introduce us to several Nigerian bird species through their calls and habits. So with that, over to you, Mr. Dickson Matthew.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to say that I'm glad to participate in this talk, and I count it a privilege to have the opportunity to talk with you all. And I believe that we're going to have a nice time, and more like interactive session, so to say. I don't want it to become like a traditional monologue where I just speak and then at the end we say bye-bye, bye-bye, and everybody goes. So I want as much as possible to be able to interact as we do this talk together. So we are talking about Nigerian bird calls, and Nigeria is a very diverse country and has a lot of bird species. Over 940 bird species are found in Nigeria, and each of them have their different ways of communicating and, relating in the wild and doing what they do best. So I want to start by playing a sound, and then I would really want us to just familiarize ourselves with what these sounds are. And like I said, it's more like an interactive session. So I'm going to be maybe pausing a bit at a time and then ask you what you think about particular sounds that I play. So for the beginning, I want you to listen to this, and then at the end, well, somebody will tell me if, what you hear at the background from the sound. Yeah, that is one. And this is another. Yes. So I just played two different sounds, and I would really love if somebody is able to identify what sounds I just played right now. Can somebody tell the first sound and yeah, the second also? Yeah, somebody's raising hand. Mugog, please go ahead.
It's the frogs in the water. The
Oh,
beautiful sound of the frogs.
oh, that's great. So that is one. Yeah, one of those sounds. It's actually the sound of frogs calling. And yes, another sound. I played two sounds. You identified the frog sound well. Thank you very much. Okay, so basically, I played two sounds. One was the sound of frogs near a wetland, I mean, a water body, and the other one was the sound of birds, dawn chorus, where they sing. Every bird is just trying to call very early in the morning. So that was the second, the first sound. So why I had to play that was, I mean, to make us familiar with this, to know the difference between bird sound and other animal sound. So birds have sound, animals, other animals like the amphibians, frogs, and insects, all they have their own sound and they have functions for each of these sounds. So, well, that's that. And before we continue, I would really want to tell us a little bit about what calls are. Calls are actually vocalizations that are produced by animals for several reasons. I mean, they have several functions to play. But that is actually on a very simple level. We can identify every vocalization to be called, but then to be more scientific, to be more scientific and theoretical, we classify these calls into calls and songs. So basically, it is scientifically better to say vocalizations and not calls. So yeah, to a layman, we can tell, okay, oh, that is the call of a bird, that is the call of a frog, and all that. But if we want to be more scientific, we call it vocalization because, yeah, vocalization, and this can be divided into two, divided into a call or a song. Basically, calls and are different from song in the, in that calls are actually generated abruptly and not really organized way of vocalizing. But song, it's a really organized vocalization where the animal sings repeatedly some good melody, and yeah, for several reasons. So for that, we would say that every vocalization, I mean, every call or sound made from the vocal cord of an animal, it's a vocalization. And yeah, I really want to put it that way, that it's vocalization. And then they are into songs and calls. We will identify some of them as we continue in this talk. So for why do animals actually make vocalization? Why do they vocalize? They vocalize for different reasons. Some for mate attraction. They also vocalize for having contact. They vocalize to defend their territories against conspecifics, against other animals, maybe other individuals of the same species as well. They do vocalization too, to map out their territory so that they can protect it and yeah, breed in that territory. Some also use this vocalization to identify prey, while some use the vocalization to evade prey or to raise alarm against predators coming into the territory. So basically, those are the functions of songs. There could be other, other functions, but these are some of the major functions that song play in animal, especially in the world of bird. Okay, so we want to tell us briefly about how we get these birds calls. It's not a difficult thing. It's actually to have a recorder, an audio recorder, a good one, and then having some insight into how one can record a very good sound. Not every sound is good, because if you don't record it well, the sound will really not be good. Sometimes it will not be loud, or it will be overshadowed by noise and other sounds in the environment. So basically, how I do my recording, I use two means. Sometimes I deploy a recorder in the wild, and then I leave it to record. But although it's programmed, I program it to record for interval of time. So some of the equipments that are used in this recording are autonomous recording units, where they can stay in the wild for as long, maybe a year or even two. They stay there and they keep on recording sound until one is satisfied, and then you go pick them up. The one that I do very, very frequently is the focal recording, where I identify a bird or any other organism calling, and then I point my microphone attached to the recorder to that bird calling, and then I record for a particular length of time. So it's really an interesting stuff. And one thing I do when I record sounds is that most time I start recording and it's as if I freeze, because if I make some move, the sound is going to really be reflected in the recording. So it just becomes noisy. It creates some kind of noise. So it's advisable, if one is making a recording of bird sound or any other animal sound, especially if it is a focal recording, yeah, it's advisable to stay quiet in one place as if you are a tree once you start recording, until you are done with the recording. So right now I'm going to play some songs of birds. I already clarified it. It's either song or call. So to unify the whole thing, it's vocalization. I'm going to play the vocalization of some birds, and I would really want us to identify with these sounds. Some are common and some are not common. All right. So if I play a sound and you think that, oh, or you are familiar with it, please raise your hand and then tell me something about it. Okay. So yes. So I just played this sound. Does anybody recognize this sound? I mean, is it a familiar sound? I mean, to you?
I ask, is there geese in the background?
You saw what?
Geese, like a goose.
Oh, like a goose. Wow.
That's the only sound I know.
Oh, okay. Here it is. The one that is not the one at the background.
That one.
Yeah,
That
not the
one.
one at the, yeah, this one.
Okay.
Yeah, the one that is very loud, that is louder than the other ones. The one that is pew 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 pew, that sound of the thing. So basically that is the common bubble. It is called Pycnonotus barbatus, and it is one of the over 160 species of bubbles. Mostly it's found within Africa, but has some extension into the Middle East and recently it has been found that some are breeding even in southern Spain as well. So these birds are actually monomorphic, and if you really are aware of your environment, if you really are aware of the sound that emanates from your environment, you will identify that this bird is one of the birds that calls very early in the morning, and it's usually, people would say it's usually the one that will wake them up in the morning. Very early, around 5:30, they have started calling. All right. So it is common bubble. Basically it's found around, because of its association with it is associated with humans. I mean, yeah, with human settlement. So it's one of those birds that are called synanthropic birds. That is, birds that are associated with humans. So it's a really good sound. This bird sings very well. From the beginning, I differentiated between call and song. The sound I just played now, that vocalization, is a song. If you listen carefully, you will see that it's repeatedly producing some kind of tonation, some beautiful tonation. And yeah, so songs are produced in a very organized manner, order, and then the birds sing it and then repeat it over and over and over and over and over again. So those are sounds. I don't really want to go really far. The essence is for you to appreciate this sound. So that is common bobo. I'm going to play another sound. I mean, another vocalization. Yeah. So who identifies with this bird? Does anybody know what bird that is? Are you familiar with it? Have you heard it around your house before or somewhere else in the bush? Yes, please. Jalo. Jalo is raising hand.
Yes, Muhammad, did you?
Yes, familiar with the bird. It's always common around us here, more especially in the urban area. Also, you
Yeah.
can even be able to sight them in bush area at times, but normally around villages as well too.
Hmm. Yeah, so that
Yeah.
is the West African thrush, or sometimes it can be called African thrush, the Tudius pelleus. So it's one of the common birds that we find around and are also associated with human settlement. So you find it a lot around human settlement, and then you find it a lot also around wooded area. So basically, this the bird is associated with human, like the common bubble, and they produce some beautiful tonation. In Nigeria, it is called the song of this bird is commonly called the Igbo flute, because it sounds like the flute, so to say. So it's really a beautiful sound to identify with. I go to the next sound I want to play. It's not a very common sound, and I'm not sure all of you can really identify with it. But then, does somebody hear that sound? That is one. I'm going to play another one. Yeah, so these birds are actually two birds, different species, that have found a way of taking advantage of another. The first one I played is the rock firefinch. And the second one is the Jos Plateau indigo bird. Now, the rock firefinch is a bird that was known to be endemic to Nigeria, found only in Nigeria. But very recently, not so recently, but recently it has been also observed in the northern part of Cameroon, the part bordering Nigeria. So it's no longer a Nigerian endemic scientifically. It's more or less like a regional endemic right now. So the Jos Plateau indigo bird puts on a special character or behavior trying to utilize, to take advantage of the rock firefinch in what is called parasitism. And that parasitism is called brood parasitism, where a bird lays egg in the nest of another bird and then allows the other one to hatch the bird. And then, so basically that is what the Jos Plateau indigo bird does. It lays its egg in the nest of the rock firefinch and then goes its way, just go and then enjoy life, while the rock firefinch does the incubating and the hatching. And then at the end, it hatches and becomes Jos Plateau indigo bird. So the parasitism, brood parasitism, it's a very interesting topic in the world of birds. And sometimes it can really be complex because evolutionarily it's a very complex kind of interaction, and it's a kind of an arm race where one develop a way of evading the advantage taken by the other, and then one like a building block on top of the other. So basically that is what the Jos Plateau indigo bird does: lays its egg and then allow the rock firefinch to take care and do everything. And then with that, it has found a way to identify with the rock firefinch. It identifies with the rock firefinch through the call. If you, the call was really not very loud, but if you really listened to the call of the Jos Plateau indigo bird, it has its own call, but it incorporates the call of rock firefinch into its own call. Why that is, it's really truly has not been understood, but it is believed that this bird incorporates the call of the rock firefinch. Maybe when it was young and being nurtured by the rock firefinch, and then somehow it started, acquired that inheritance and began to sing in some way like the rock firefinch. And another school of thought can be that, okay, it's calling like the rock firefinch so that when it's around the nest of rock firefinch, which it parasitizes, it can be recognized that, oh, it's a rock firefinch and not a Jos Plateau indigo bird. So basically, these are some kind of relationship between some birds in the wild. Time will fail us to talk so much about it. The next group of birds I want to play the sound for you are what we call the duetters. These birds are actually birds that call and respond. So one calls and another responds. Just listen to this call. So if you listen to that sound very well, you could hear one calling at a high note, with a high note, and it's the one that is starting, and then the other responds. So the yellow-crowned gonolek, as the bird is called, it's a bird that does duetting. The male starts to call, and then the female responds to the call. Most of the behavior of birds a common behavior of birds that do duetting is that they are skulky. They are not easily found or sighted. You can see them in thickets, under covered vegetation. So it is believed that evolutionarily, they have developed the habit of, duetting so that they can make contact. Since they are always in the bush, just in thickets, one wants to call so that he can know, oh, are you there? Yes, I am there. Oh, are you there? Yes, I'm there. So it's a form of having contact and being in contact. So basically, that is one common behavior of birds that do duetting. Now I play this song for you again. That sound I just played was the sound of the female yellow-crowned gunnelec. So the male is the one that starts the call, and then the female responds with that jittering sound. So basically just to make contact. Another another species that is known to do duetting is the Oriole warbler. Listen to this call. So I'm not sure, this one is not a very common bird. It's mostly found around thickets close to water bodies. So you will really not find it so much, in abundance compared to African thrush or common bobo in places that are inhabited by human beings, all right? So now the next set of birds I want to play the sound for you to appreciate is let me play the sound first. Does anybody recognize this sound? Have you heard it before around your area? I play the next.
May
Yes, please go ahead.
I'm going to read from Chica. She says there's no water bodies. Oh, I thought she was giving the answer. So are you checking the chat? Because some people are answering in the chat.
Okay. Oh, sounds of crickets. Okay. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, where I stay, and the owl is common national bird around us. Yeah, so somebody's saying is identifying that it's an owl and it's a common bird that is found, a night bird. Yeah. Yeah, so basically they are called owls and they are nocturnal birds. It's not just owls that are nocturnal. There are other bird species that are nocturnal. That is to say, they are active in the night. They do their feeding and their foraging, everything in the night. There is a misconception generally about night birds, all right? And people have really associated them with some kind of diabolical sense. So people think that if you hear the owl around your vicinity in the night, it means that some witches are around, you know. So some people, people can really be funny, but it's quite understandable. They are not aware of this. So they don't know that some birds are actually active in the night. Those birds are the ones, sometimes they feed in night, on night insects. They also feed on mice, rats, and some other, things that are active in the night. So the owl is not a witch bird, so to say. So if you have heard anybody say, oh, the owl is a witch bird, please, it is not. It's not a witch bird. It is just made that way, and God made it to just be active in the night so that it feeds in the night. Night birds, there are birds that are active in the day, there are birds that are active in the night. It is believed that, there is a sharing or partitioning of space for feeding so that there will not be much competition. So some birds can just feed in the night, and that is how they are made. One of the ones that really scared, I mean, that's really scary, especially this one. This one. This is the barn owl. And I can tell you that people talk about it so much. When they hear it, they say witch is around, which is a very, I mean, incorrect way of concluding about these night birds. Another night bird that is really not common around, that people are not very familiar with, they are the night jars. They are called night jars. This is the sound of a nightjar, and there are several species, but the one I'm playing for you now, it's called the long-tailed nightjar. I understand some people may think that it's a cricket that is making a call, but that is a bird, and it's really active in the night as well. So it's a long-tailed nightjar. So basically, I played these things for you so that you know that, okay, some birds are active in the night and they are not controlled by some witch or native doctors around, you know? So you should appreciate them. And then these ones are called raptors. I should play the sound if it's familiar to your hearing. Yeah. So have you heard this bird before? Okay, so basically that is the yellow-billed kite, and it's one of the birds that feed on flesh, and yeah. So this bird does some good behavior in the way they move. It is actually an intra-African migrant, and they move around Africa depending on the coming and going of rain. So recently, I've been privileged to be part of a project that tagged this yellow-billed kite to monitor how they move. We did the monitoring, right? Some in Jos, some in Edo State, and it was really interesting to see that some of them have moved all the way to Sudan. They went to Sudan, and then when the rain was heavy, they went to Sudan, moved up Sudan, and then when the rain began to go, they began to come back. Recently, they have returned. Almost everyone that we tagged, about 15 or so, all of them have returned from their migration journey. And it's a really, really interesting thing to see. So when you hear this bird, they are not always around, although a few population can be around. But at a time, you will see that they are scarce. And then at another time, you hear that, oh, you don't hear them again. I mean, they are around now fully. So that is the way they behave. They move from place to place. And basically, one of the things that influence their movement, let's say it may be rainfall, you know, they move with the rain. As the rain becomes heavy, they move away from the rain and then back again as the rain withdraws, you know. So the last bird, okay, so this is the last bird that I want to play the sound for you. Does anybody recognize that sound? I mean, have you heard it before? Yeah, I know it's not really very, very common around there. I mean, around human habitation, you could find it close to bushes and where. It's also a bird that feeds on flesh, and it is called the lizard buzzard. Believe you me, this is one of the birds that produce, I mean, one of the most, I mean, the beautiful sound I know. I mean, I really appreciate its sounds. It's very, very beautiful to my hearing. you know. So basically, this bird, it's native to the sub-Saharan Africa, but then despite its name, it may be more closely, so it's related to other bird species. But basically, I just want us to appreciate the sound and how this bird it's really not a singing bird, but the sound, sounds so pleasant to hearing. Singing bird means birds that are actually specialize in singing. They are songbirds that have vocal organs that are specialized for singing. But this is not a singing bird. But then the sound is really, really nice. Really. So basically, those are the sounds. It's actually these sounds I just played are just selection from a pool of bird songs in Nigeria. Time will fail us to talk about these songs in detail and about even more other species. So right now, I don't know if you have recognized some of these birds that we played the sound. If you have something to say about them, or maybe, yeah. So basically, this has brought me to the end of this presentation, and I want to thank the organizers of this meeting so much for the privilege of being made to speak to you this time around. And I want to also acknowledge some people that I used their calls and their photos to make this presentation for you. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Very good afternoon, and thanks for joining us on our private safari. Good afternoon to all the Nigerian Association of the Blind. And yes, I think we're going to have a fantastic half an hour of explanations on what we are going to be doing and where we are. But my name is Cedric. I am the naturalist, and behind me on the camera we've got Muscles Paul. Yes, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Very excited about this. So where I'm sitting at the moment is there's a big dam next to us, a dam called the Chitwa Dam. It's a large water body, and of course here we've got quite a few different kind of species of animals and birds. That's pretty much around the side. So first things first, what is inside of this dam? Well, we've got some hippos and hippopotamus. I'm hoping that these hippopotamus makes a beautiful grunt for us. I heard one not too long ago. We are going to try and listen out. But yes, please ask me any questions. Feel free. You actually hear some of the birds calling in the background. Very much like almost it's got a like a blacksmith that's using a big metal hammer on an anvil. So it's got that ding, ding, ding. So we've got one of those birds that's actually very close to us. And it's making a noise not too long ago, but I will let you know if it does start calling once again. This is going to be so exciting. So I'm going to just sit at the dam because I always feel the dam is the nicest place, especially this dam. So many birds, it's always quite active. Yeah, those birds. So those birds is known as a red-billed buffalo weaver. So it's a small bird. It's like a blackbird with its red beak, hence the name, red-billed buffalo weaver. They actually got like a huge nest in a dead tree here, but the nest is quite large. It's a very untidy nest. It's pretty pretty much been built with all different sticks, branches, and the birds all work together like in a community. So they make this big, messy nest, but they each got an apartment inside of that nest. Like a hotel. Buffalo weavers, that's one of our small five. Buffalo weaver. Why they call it a small five? Because it's got the name of the big five animal, the buffalo, the Cape buffalo. Of course it's a bird, buffalo weaver. The sun is shining, it's beautiful out here this afternoon. A little bit of a breeze that's coming across the dam, which is alright. You might hear a little bit of a breeze in the mic. Nothing too hectic. Nothing else really coming down at the moment, just as I say. There's these hippos, and I'm hoping they're going to grunt for us. But of course, the hippos that we do see at the moment, there's about 7, 8 of them in the water. You can just see the heads, really. That's about it. These hippos will usually come out at night time and go and feed on the grasses further outside. But during the day, they'll just stay. Going to take a look. Unfortunately, Chulu, I cannot speak louder. If I speak louder, I'll lose my voice. I'll just ask Paul that he just turn up the volume there. And hear that bird in the background at high pitch. Yeah, that high pitch, so that is now the blacksmith lapwing. So ding, 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 ding. Sounds just like someone hitting a hammer on an anvil. That's where they got the name from, blacksmith lapwing. Beautiful birds, like not pretty colors, but they got this black, white, and greyish color, pretty much mixed in between. And those birds usually hang around the water areas as well. Water edges, busy feeding on all their little insects. Not large. Blacksmith lapwing is around about, I don't see the exact size of the lapwing. Blacksmith lapwing, if you're looking at the size, is around about 28 to 30 centimeters tall. So 30 centimeters is like the length of a ruler. You know, at school that you use the rulers. So that's this length of the bird, 30 centimeters tall. Come on, hippos, give us a grunt here. So we've got some Egyptian geese, which they're always quite noisy. Funny enough, Egyptian geese is one of those animals, or the birds, that make quite a racket. You hear them in the distance, and ah, ah. There's also another pretty bird that you always find around the water, the dams and the rivers. And that bird is known as a water thickney. Very high pitched noise. But I'll see if we can noise for us very soon. Yeah, that was the hippos grunting like that. That was amazing, wasn't it? With that, that's the way they're just communicating with one another here in the dam. It's just quite amazing just to see always here at these waterholes, and I can just imagine just listening to all the sounds and how many bird species we can actually pick up on. You know, because once you start using your sense of hearing, you close your eyes, it's amazing how we can actually just start determining all the species around here, bird species. Especially that we had some good rain recently. 2-3 days ago had some nice rain, so first big rains for our summertime. And now you'll find a lot of the frogs and toads. Oh, there's also quite the chorus at night time when you listen at like a little wetland or marshy area. You just sit there and you switch off the vehicle and you actually just listen to all the frogs going crazy. All busy calling. That's mostly at night. Okay, hear that bird. So that is a water thickening. Water thick. Why they call it a thick knees? Well, it's got thick knees, very thin legs. Not the most prettiest bird, very much built to blend in with, because they spend most of the time on the ground. So they want to try and blend in with the surroundings, so none of the predators will get to see them that easily. And probably almost the same size as that lapwing that I was talking about a little bit earlier. That's about 30 centimeters. Hippos grunting there again. And sometimes I was saying as well that when I was working at a lodge now recently, and you actually hear the hippos from this dam, the sound actually like kind of bounces off the water into the lodge, and while you're sleeping at night time it feels like the hippo is right next to you, like even your bed kind of shakes a bit. So what's happening here in front of us is that, or next to us, is the hippos that's going underwater, and when they come up again, of course, taking a big deep breath, they go like a blow out, they go under again, and then they come out, almost like a whale. So the hippo's nostrils is situated right on top. So it's built and adapted perfectly, coming up and down, under the water and coming up. Take a breath of oxygen. Taking a look carefully. My favorite noise of the bush, well, when it comes to birds, I think it is a bird that's pretty much hangs around water areas like this now, and that's a fish eagle, or African fish eagle. It's got a beautiful call. And it calls like, it's like the call of Africa, I always say, when it comes to birds. When it comes to big mammals, well, I think I can't deny, but a male lion roaring at night time to me is still amazing. It's a kind of, it really goes like deep within it, and it just carries, and that noise carries quite, like other lions can actually pick up on that call up to like 10 kilometers away. Watching the hippos, so you actually get it to follow hippos, see how they blow out. They're not far from us. The hippos are around about maybe 15-20 meters away from the vehicle, and they're situated just on top of a dam wall, so they're actually looking pretty much, almost down. Oh, a little splash there. The hippos have come a little bit closer to us, so I'm hoping they're going to give us a bit of a grunt again, and they're quite nice. And if everybody's enjoying it, do you need any information, or please send me some questions. Did have an African fish eagle not too long ago, yeah. And old Paul and myself, when we arrived at the dam, was sitting up in one of the dead trees, but it looked like it has flown off. It would be nice just to kind of listen out for that bird. Trust me, that's not Paul that's falling into the water. That is just a hippo that kind of breached and like dived back into the water. Almost like a whale. And the hippo was having a little bit of fun. That was nice. Good noise right there. You can understand how deep that noise is. It's almost like they all went underwater, and one of them had told quite a funny joke, and then they all came up to the top and they were like, oh, they all had a good old laugh there. We're looking at the size of the hippo, so we can't really see it because most of the body is inside of the water that we can see, but the rest you can just see the head and the ears sticking out of the water. But when they do come out, the size of the hippo is huge. They're about 2 tons, 2,000 kilograms. Very, very heavy. Very oval shape, with short stubby legs and quite a big head and a big mouth that they can actually open their mouths at 170 degrees. You think such a big animal with a big mouth, big teeth eats meat? No, there's grass. Egyptian geese that Egyptian geese, almost like a duck. Johann Kruger, hippos, it's very difficult. They give a rough estimate of a hippo staying underwater for around about maybe 6 minutes, 7 minutes. That's just a rough estimate. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, we can't really ask a hippo, okay, stay under and, you know, let's time you, and, you know, just before you're going to drown, come up, you know. It's, yeah, it's difficult to say, but they say it's around about 5-6 minutes. So that's a decent amount of time if you think about it, 5-6 minutes. And they cannot swim. That one is agreeing. And if I just says yes, that is true, Cedric. Egyptian geese making that racket in the background. The Egyptian geese you really get quite pretty much widespread, you know, when it's coming to South African bird species. You find Egyptian geese all over South Africa. From the east to the west, from the north, right to the south. Right down to the south. Also very colourful. Egyptian geese got an interesting colours to them. A lot of brown, white, blackish to it as well. They're very territorial, so when it comes to their little area around the dam area, they always make sure that there's no other Egyptian geese coming close by. If there is, they make quite a racket and then they'll chase after others, or sometimes it almost ends up like a bar fight. I find the Egyptian geese will have a bit of a standoff or a good old fight. Sorry, truly, I can't understand the question. I just heard why the hippos choose a flap. Just go to the name and the question again, please. Oh, Maris Kutsia. Why do the hippos actually, sorry, fling their tails from side to side? Maris Kutsia, it's the whole idea about that is, you know, when they're going to go and mark their territory around the dams or the rivers or wherever they are, because they are territorial, especially the males. So what they'll do, they mark their area. So they'll fling the dung. So they actually do their business, and while the dung is coming out, the tail will fling the dung all over the bush or on the ground, sometimes in the water. It's just to mark their territory. As we always say, who flung dung? Oh, they could put flung dung. There's always an interesting explanation to me as well. Like many years ago, someone had told me an interesting story of why the hippos do this. Because when they actually went to go into the Noah's Ark, of course they had to go in pairs and everything, and then Noah saw the hippo coming onto the ark, and Noah says, that big mouth, those big teeth, your big body, you're going to eat all the other animals on the ark. And the hippo said, no, but I do not eat meat. And then Noah says, okay, well, you've got to prove it to me. Every single day I want to see your dung. And of course, the hippo says, no problem. Okay, and you're allowed onto the ark. And every single day after that, the hippo would fling the dung all over the show, and just to show inside of the dung that there's no bones. So he did not eat any other animals, it was just grass. So that's a story that I got. Hey, Paul. Yeah, Paul saying yes. Wonderful story, Cedric. Thank you, Paul. Kirsten, I'm not too sure if they Egyptian geese displace other birds. I'm not. I always see the herons around them, the blacksmith lapwings around them, so they don't really kind of chase other birds off. I think the main thing is, their own species. So there's other Egyptian geese coming in, and it's like, and I'll chase them. But if it's like the blacksmith lapwings or other bird species coming around, they tend to just ignore them and leave them alone. It's like they don't have there's no competition, so they're not too phased about other bird species. But then on top of that, I might also be wrong in one way there, because I realized now, I've seen Egyptian geese when they had little goslings, little ones, and I've seen actually Egyptian geese become quite protective over the youngsters, but then which animal's not protective over the youngsters? So you also have to look at it that way. I've seen Egyptian geese actually chasing other animals, other birds, because of the babies, little goslings. I'm just taking a look here, sorry, I just saw some impalas. Impala's an antelope, one of our most common antelope, and he's just running across one of the big open clearings. But not running away from anything, just pretty much trying to get from one side to the other side. The sun is slowly but surely starting to set. Lovely little golden light coming through. The afternoon is beautiful. The wind has died down. An afternoon like this, you can just close your eyes and sit at a dam and enjoy all the noises, all the sounds. also just an explanation of what's around the dam. As I said, there's a big open clearing, and the grass is starting to green up quite nicely, so there's very green grass around here. Chica, no, Egyptian geese is not just found around hippos. No, they'll be found. You can find Egyptian geese at on the rivers, down there at the coast, along the ocean. So there's no hippos along the ocean that side, like in that Cape, or the Western Cape. That's right down in the south of South Africa. You find Egyptian geese there. So it's not just around hippos. No. I think the Egyptian geese is, as I say, it is, every water body will have an Egyptian geese. If it's a sea, if it's a river, if it's a dam, if it's a lake or pond, you're gonna find those birds around there, somewhere there. As I was explaining now on the outskirts, it's becoming very green. Because as I said, we had our first bit of rain now recently. Oh, Egyptian geese, if it's common in Nigeria. Wow, I will not know that. That would be very interesting. I will try and find that out because, yeah, I know. Maybe. Well, that's why Egyptian geese got the name Egyptian. It comes from pretty much up at Egypt. So I'm sure the whole African continent there will be Egyptian geese somewhere. As I say, it's a very common bird. But yeah, very, very nice. Very pretty birds. As I say, it's very pretty, but very noisy. Interesting calls, especially when they're having their little battles, their territorial battles. But yep, the sun is busy setting, the light is busy disappearing now. Paul is loving life behind the camera this afternoon. Very nice just to sit out here and actually listen to all the birds, to the hippos. Thanks, hippos. That was nice of you to give us a few grunts for the afternoon. Nothing better than listening to a hippopotamus. So yes, that was quite interesting. I really enjoyed that. Now I'm just hoping for later on maybe a lion to roar for us. That is for later on. Because lions will mainly roar at night time because they will just wait for the sun to set. And they know that the noise travels further at night time. So it travels much further at night time compared to daytime. So that's why a lion will at night, a leopard will rasp at night. So yes. But yes, of course, so if it's that time, we're going to be ending this private show. I just want to say thank you to all the people that's joined us. The Nigerian Association of the Blind. It was nice to explain what we saw, or what we heard, and what we saw and explain to you. And yes, hoping that you continue enjoying the sounds of nature. For myself, Cedric, and Paul, and the rest of the WildEarth team, have a wonderful day.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think you have gone through the chat. There wasn't any questions. So we've got 5 minutes. If there are any questions, the audience is welcome to either raise their hands or type it out in the chat. Kirsten.
Thanks, Aisha. Thanks, Dickson. Dickson, that was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. And it's lovely to hear bird calls that I hear quite often, but I just don't know who is making them. So it's very special. And as Aisha and Maret said, it's lovely to see your face light up. You're obviously very passionate about your birds, and it's very special that you've also recorded so many calls yourself. I had a question, which is about the indigo bird.
Okay.
I don't know the indigo bird at all. I wanted to know, I mean, I know cuckoos here in South Africa, and I know that generally they're much bigger than their host, the host bird that they choose, and often their eggs and their chicks are much bigger as well. How does the indigo bird compare in size to a cuckoo? I mean, I know cuckoos vary, but they're quite large birds actually relatively to their hosts.
Yeah. Yeah, indigo birds are actually very small birds compared to cuckoos. They are really, really small. I mean, relatively the size of finches, just a little bit bigger than the finches. Yeah, so they are not as big as cuckoos.
Okay. So, and their chicks are more or less the same size as well.
Yes.
Hello.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Dickson.
Thanks.
Hello. I
Hello.
can't see.
Uncle Hassan David from Nigeria. I would like to know more about the singing birds that how often or the fly or how far they can fly.
Please, can you say again? Can you ask the question again?
I said I am Uncle Hassan David from Nigeria.
Yes.
I want to know
welcome.
more about the singing birds and
Yeah.
the night birds in particular. I
Yeah.
am somebody who loves nature, like the birds. Sometimes, as you've rightly said, I sometimes look at, most especially the old bird, as you rightly said, as a wizard, or so, if not for your explanation now. But naturally, sometimes I go out to just listen to nature, the birds. So one thing I want to know, or how I want to know now, is how often can we find them around Africa, and how far can they fly?
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. To start with, all the sounds I have played for you are sounds, sounds of birds that are found in Africa and are found in Nigeria. Okay, so most of them are, commonly and widely distributed. So yeah, they are commonly and widely distributed. So yeah, except the night birds that most time you would hear them in the night, and then the day birds, the diurnal birds, you hear them in the day. But then, these birds have some habitat requirement where you will likely find them if you check those places. Like I was making mention of the Oreo warbler, and I said it was not likely going to be very common in human habitation.
So I'm going to ask Chika. Hi, Chika, would you unmute? Hi, Chika.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I wanted to ask the sound of the birds that I heard. They sounded like this. They sounded like birds that you could find by the river in eastern Nigeria. That's around Enugu, Anambra. So I wanted to know: does the are the Egyptian geese, can they be found in Nigeria, or are there other birds that make very similar sounds to them?
Okay, so Chika, I'm not a bird expert, but I did ask Dickson to unmute. I think he might be able to answer you.
Okay.
Dickson, are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm here. Okay, yes. Your question asking about if the Egyptian geese could be found around Nigeria. Yes, they could be found, and I trying to check the distribution map, and it says that yes, they are available. I mean, they can be seen around the southeastern Nigeria.
Thank you, Dickson. Chika, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
And then I think let's look. I know earlier in the chat there were questions for Dickson that we weren't able to complete. So I think this is the one from Chica. The parasitic bird is what I want to ask about. Do the ones who lay the eggs in the others' nests, do the chicks overpower or push out the chicks of the other birds?
Okay. Yeah. Basically, the survival instinct and the competitive nature of that parasitism, it's like the cheeks of just plateau indigo bed are likely. We have not really studied it to know exactly what it's happening with other birds like the drongos and other in the southern Africa. But generally, that is the behavior of the cheeks of parasitic birds. They outpower the cheeks of the bird that is taking care of them, and then eventually sometimes just only them survive and they are taken care of by the surrogate mother.
Chica, does that answer your question? Because then I can go on to the next question. Your next question. So Chica's next question was that there's a barn owl that stays on my roof and tends to move around my ceiling at night, and it makes a scratching sound. It only makes this sound when it's flying or about to take off. Why?
Well, yeah, so basically, we said that the sounds, they use the sound to identify prey as also to avoid predators. So it's most likely when they are taking off, it's like a flight call, or when they are taking off to maybe go hunting, and then you hear that call. Yeah.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you so much, Dickson.
My pleasure.
I'm just looking in the chat because it's been quite busy in the chat. If there are any other questions that I'm missing, especially to you. I see a lot of compliments to you, Dickson. Well done, Dickson, for this wonderful presentation. And that is from Muhammad Idris Chalu.
Okay.
Turshak says, very nice presentation. And then Chica, Johan Kruger saying that you should leave a window open for your barn owl because he woke up to one in the bedroom one morning. Here's a very vital question from Chica. And Dickson, I'm going to ask you again.
Okay.
Does bird watching or bird recording need a specific or special skill? And do you think people with disabilities can participate or do it too?
Yeah, bird watching, it's a, yeah, and recording, it's a special skill, but it can be learned, all right? Yeah, for example, if you really want to learn the birds, learn their names and know their biology, you have to be schooled in it, maybe go out with someone who is experienced in identifying them and all that. But if you just want to go out to feel, to hear the sound and then to see the color of the birds, and then you don't need to learn anything actually. Yeah.
Thank you, Dickson. Is there, may I ask, is there an app that's available? Since there's an app for everything, do you know of an app that can be used that can identify the sound with the vocalizations?
Yes, there is an app that can be used for identifying vocalization, but it is not widespread in Africa yet. It's actually an American app. It's called Merlin, a project of eBird. So you can use that app to identify bird calls. If you don't know the birds, you just record the bird sound and then the app tells you this is the bird. But the last time I tried using it in Nigeria, it told me that, oh, the birds in this area, in your area, are not found. So it has to, I mean, they have to incorporate wide coverage of places so that people can really use that app efficiently.
So do you know that if there's any potential for citizen scientists to then get involved in that so that more vocalizations can be added to that app?
Yeah, for that yes, surely it will be a very interesting and important thing to do. But as it is now, where the problem is, or whoever, the people that can make it work, it's the eBird people. So they can ask for submission of bird sounds, and then they can upload and train the app so that when it listens or hears the sound, it can tell, okay, this is the bird that is being called. So basically, it can be done through citizen science. Yeah, you record and then send, and then they upload and train the app. I think it's really going to be great.
Thank you, Dickson. Adibukolo, before I get your question, I just want to ask Dickson, do you have maybe a website that everything you shared today we can revisit because of the birds that you shared today?
Okay, that is the bird sounds I shared today.
Yes. Is there a website of yours? Or publications that we can look into?
Well, no publication. I submit my sounds to Zenocanto. So
Okay.
I have an account there that I submit my sounds, but not if you check it, it's not much sound that I have submitted. Yeah, I have a lot that I just want to upload, but then having to sit down, screen them, and all that, begin to upload, it's a lot of work. So once in a while, I just sit and I find a free time, and then I submit one or two, basically.
Okay, I'm one of the people that's waiting for that, Dickson.
Okay.
But I'm going to ask Adibukolo if you can ask
Okay,
a question.
good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. This is very interesting, and my name is Dr. Adibukola Adebayo. I'm not a scientist. I'm a disability and inclusive development specialist, and I work with the World Bank and on secondment to the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities here in Nigeria. I'm very interested in this. I have worked a lot on education, especially at the basic level, advocating for inclusive education. And I'm saying this because I think I find these materials very useful for teaching blind persons. Besides, I'm also a blind person myself. And I'm thinking, how can we put some of this together to support the learning for blind children? I think it's going to be a very interesting learning material for training blind children and to become interested in nature. And I think that this is a material I will recommend. And but I need to know, how can we have this in a very I don't know how to put it now, in some kind of audio material for learning for blind children. Is this something that is possible?
Yes, please. I'm not sure I can really answer that.
Thank you, Aisha. If I may, Dr. Adebayo, thank you very much for participating. It's great to meet you. My name is Johan. I'm the director of Share Screen Africa. I would love to meet with you perhaps per Zoom, or we can set something up. I'm unfortunately a bit far away from you. I'm in South Africa. But perhaps we can meet via digital medium and we can talk about this. I would love to discuss this further. I would have your email address so I'll make contact.
Very good. I got to join this meeting through Janet, and she's a very wonderful person that's been helping to promote inclusion of persons with disabilities. Janet, are you on the call?
Yes, she's in.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, so you can share my emails and contacts.
Okay, I'll do that now.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate this, and I would like to take conversations further. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Chika, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Okay, I'm talking about the people with disabilities. I work with children and young adults living with disabilities, and we're basically into everything IT and any other way that we could bring the world to the fingertips of children and young adults with disabilities. So I think that an app or an educational app that is specific to people with disabilities, built by people with disabilities, is actually key, because some of the kids that I work with, I'm actually recording. I was actually recording the session, and there's like some kids. I have a cerebral palsy and an autism kid with me, and they were really interested. They were actually listening in. And I think it's something that a lot of kids would really be interested in, especially if we could get an app or an avenue where these sounds can be played, and then the pictures of the birds or the animals can be displayed along with maybe a short summary of what they are or what kind of habitat, or something like very interesting about, each of the birds.
Yes, Chika, I agree with you. One more from Michael Paul. I'm interested in building something with a team. So I wonder if Michael, maybe if you want to just share your contact details, and that way we can network with everybody.
Thank
So
you.
Chika, yeah, Chika and Michael, if you can share contact details. And then I think with that, we need to end off.
Thank you, Aisha.
But I need to, yeah, a very special thank you, Dickson. It was a phenomenal talk. It was fantastic meeting you. Yeah, thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. And we hope to chat in the future again.